Okay, good morning, everyone. We are now live on Facebook as well as on Zoom. And this is our first seminar for this semester for the unit IR 431 International and Regional Security. For this morning, we have three presenters who will be representing the groups. And the first question for group one: what are the 5 factors of the framework developed by Busan according to Williams? Group 2, how would you use Busan's military sector to explain the South China Sea conflict? And the third question for this period: why is security studies considered a subfield of international relations according to Williams? So we'll have Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, so we'll begin with the ground rules. I believe by now you've all read through the comments that I made on the announcement forum. So questions and comments must be posted on the assigned discussion forum immediately after the Zoom presentation and during the scheduled period. So after the presenters present, we will go straight to commenting and questioning or comments and questions on the discussion forum on Moodle. So no comments or questions via Zoom. And you have to post within the scheduled period. If you run out of time today, you can do it tomorrow. We have double period. So whatever comments you have for the three presenters or questions, you can ask tomorrow. So I can count during the period from 10:30 to 12:30. And there's no limitation to your presentation, but the expectation is between 5 to 10 minutes to share answers. Your answers should go for a period of 10 minutes, maximum 10, minimum 5. So no specific limitation. And the final one is to do the attendance. You can attend via Zoom or via Facebook. The important thing that we are assessing your counting, we're counting the comments and the questions in order to add to your assessments for this particular assessment task. So attendance is not strictly monitored, but the participation part is important. You have to participate on Moodle in the discussion forum by sharing your audio or video commentary or questions. So that's all by way of introduction, and I'll give the floor over to Margaret Uguro. Ms. Uguro will be representing group number 2. So Margaret, please, the floor is yours.
So without further ado, we'll continue. I'm gonna answer question number 2. So we are group 2, and our question is, how would you use Busan's military sector to explain the South China Sea conflict? So before we answer the question, let us define security. So according to Busan 1991, page number 432 to 433, he stated that, and I quote, security is taken to be about the pursuit of freedom from threat and the ability of the state and societies to maintain their independent identity and functional integrity against forces of change, which they see as hostile. End of quote. Now back to answering the question. Firstly, we will give a brief background of the South China Sea conflict. So the conflict between China and other Southeast Asian countries like the Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Brunei, which was recently joined by the US and Japan. So the conflict was a territorial dispute between China and other Southeast Asian countries that was mentioned earlier over the territory of the Spratly and Paso group of islands in the South China Sea. So before we use Busan's military sector to explain the South China Sea conflict, let us first understand Busan's military sector. So according to William 2008, page number 4, he stated that the military sector is, and I quote, concerned with the interplay between the armed, offensive, and defensive capabilities of states and states' perceptions of each other's intentions, end of quote. So, holding on to that thought, the conflict between China and the Southeast Asian countries were basically about the perceptions of each other's intentions over the territories of the islands. So according to the UN laws, every country has the right to navigate or monitor the Economic Exclusive Zone, or the EEZ. However, China opposed the decisions of the freedom of navigation. That is when the US stepped in. Now, to answer that question, using Busan's military sector, once US stepped in, it began to supply arms to the Southeast Asian countries. And in response to that, China built artificial islands and installed military equipment as their defense because of the security threat to their sovereignty. So in addition, Japan also supplied military ships and equipment to Philippines and Vietnam to improve their maritime security and deter Chinese aggression. So that's our answer to that question in relation to Busan's military sector. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Margaret, and thank you, Group 2, for sharing your answer with us. We'll now move on to Group 1. Who's the representative for Group 1 who's sharing the answer to that question? Group 1. Group 1 composes of Alex, Fred, Kipanu, Felipe, Semgai, and Tuna. Kunibet, are you presenting on behalf of the group? If Group 1 is then not available, we'll move on to Group 3. Anybody from Group 3? A representative from Group 3? Group 3 made up of Gondo, Ingem, Liwa, Ragim, Snowy, and Warilpa. A representative. I will give a few minutes to Kunibet is online now to make sure, just to advise us whether or not they have a presenter or someone.
Yes, I can do the presentation on behalf of my group.
Okay, please go ahead. Thank you.
can I share the screen just so everyone can be on the same page?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so our question was, what are the 5 sectors of the framework developed by Busan according to Williams? Group 2 has already covered one of these sectors. So we'll be just talking about the overall, all 5 of them, according to Paul D. Williams. Okay. So 5 different sectors to the framework according to Busan. Busan saw fit that the 5 different security sectors should be military security, societal security, environmental security, economic security, and political security. All these 5 different sectors, he believed that they all make up the basic concept of state, and each sector should have their own security. And all 5 of them, they are related to each other in one way or another. So the first one is military security. So according to Williams 2008, he stated that military security is concerned with the interplay between the armed offensive and defensive capabilities of states and states' perception of each other's intentions. And we can see an example of that was the South China Sea issue. So we believe that the focus of Busan in this particular sector was concerned with the strategic capabilities of a state when it comes to protecting its citizens. And this sector can be observed at both the national level, where we have basic things such as border security. In our case, we share maritime borders with different countries, and also we have land borders that we share with Indonesia. And also we have the international level or the regional level, where we can see that military security can extend over border security just to defend the rights of a particular state's citizens, where we can see World War I and II, where that was an example of that. And MV Tempa 2 that we've studied last year, the MV Tempa incident, is related to the national level, where Australia enacted their military security to protect their borders. And this is all to ultimately protect citizens from harm. Okay, the next sector is political security, where Williams 2008 states that this sector is focused on the organizational stability of states, system of government, and the ideologies that give them their legitimacy. So political security puts more emphasis on the structure and systems of government that ensures a state remains functioning. And if this is overlooked, the state may fail due to outside influence, or perhaps internal struggle where there could be coup or uprising or war. And we can see that this has occurred in other failed states where this was the process that they went through. And having a protected and stable political structure is the goal. So any actions made by other entities to destabilize the structure of any government is seen as a political threat. And this can be closely related to military security. So societal security, which it's a very complex idea, but basically Williams stated that this particular sector is centered on the sustainability and evolution of traditional patterns of language, culture, and religious and national identity and customs. It's how different states perceive themselves to be identified as. So societal security focuses on the identity or identities a state has and how it is compatible with the state concept. And this is related to political security. So failed or weak states tend not to properly address identity diversity which makes those states vulnerable. And Papua New Guinea, we've handled that particular area well, where we've managed to put together an identity that we all can come under, which we believe that we are a land of many languages and cultures. That's our identity. So although societal security can be observed at a macro level, which is international, its foundations are at the national level where ethnicities and identities exist. Environmental security is concerned with the maintenance of the local and the planetary biosphere as the essential support system on which all other human enterprises depend. That's also according to Williams 2008. And this considers possible ecological threats that humans have with nature and against nature. So such threats may include pollution, earthquakes, sea level rising, and drought, just to name a few. And this sector can be properly addressed by incorporating the economic and political securities, as the issue cannot only be considered a threat to the individual state, but also to the world and other countries around it. And finally, the economic security. So this sector is revolved around the access to the resources, finance, and markets necessary to sustain acceptable levels of welfare and state power. So this sector addresses aggressive competition and uncertainty within the marketing environment to create secure nature in a country's economy. So economic security can be considered as a key indicator to the general security of a state, as it determines the capabilities of the other sectors of security. And we can see that this is important because we have the free market system that is used by almost all the countries in the world and in the international market, and it plays a big part in the economic security of any given state. So according to Stone 2009, if developed and developing countries are compared, it becomes clear that with economic security, other levels of security can become easier to establish. These are references, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Kunibet and Group 1. So we've heard from Group 1 and Group 2 very detailed answers to the 2 questions given or assigned. So thank you, Group 1, Group 2. Group 3, anybody from Group 3 online and we have been appointed to represent the group? Group 3.
Mr. President.
Okay, Ms. Bondo, thank you. All right, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Our question is question 3. So it reads, why is security studies considered a subfield of international relations? So according to the reading, I picked out 4 reasons. Firstly, Williams 2008 stated that overall security matters because the concept of security covers all contemporary societies. Apologies. Our question is, why is security studies considered a subfield of international relations? First, I came up with 4. So firstly, Williams 2008 stated that security matters because it covers all contemporary societies. Secondly, Williams also stated that security studies involves interpreting the past, specifically how different groups thought and practiced security, understanding the present and trying to influence the future. Thirdly, It is understood as the relationship between different actors. Fourthly, it plays a vital role in deciding who gets what, when, and when in world politics. So Williams 2008 also wrote that at an abstract level, most scholars within international relations or IR, they work with the definition of security that it evolves around the alleviation of threats to cherished values. Thus, all these reasons, as I've mentioned, make security studies a vital component of IR because it matters to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bondo. Sorry for the inconvenience. I was trying to unmute myself, or mute myself, and then I muted you. You're using Nathan's noise account, so apologies for that. And as you can see, I moved to a new room because there's lighting issues, and the light went off in the other. I'm using the CA studio to stage our meeting. So the light went off, so I moved to the other room where they're supposed to do video production. So thank you, Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3 for sharing with us your answers. For convenience sake, for Group 3 to 7, please, could you forward the names of the presenters for tomorrow's seminar so I can have a list and then go through the list so I don't come and confuse myself, or we'll wait for the presenters to come online so you can identify them and ask them to present. So thank you, Margaret, Ms. Bondo, and Mr. Shamgai, and thank you to all those who attended as well. We'll stop here and let you go and continue the activity online on Moodle. So if you have any questions or comments for Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3, please make sure you share as an audio file or video file. We also thank our attendees on Facebook, those who've attended via Facebook. This is our first seminar for this week, week 2, and theme is on security. Week 2 and week 3 will be talking about security, and then the other weeks will be moving into different themes, and we'll make the introduction as we go along. So thank you everyone for attending, and apologies for the room. The room this morning, we had a mix-up, similar experience with year 3s as well. So I'll make sure I confirm the timetable and confirm the particular room that we'll be using for this period. So apologies for the mix-up with the room as well, the timetable clash. So with that, we'll stop here and I'll let you go and complete the other part of the activity on Moodle. So you all have a good day, and thank you for connecting on Zoom, and see you tomorrow.